Hi again, Dwayne Gleason here, Product Manager for Trimble Buildings, and welcome to part 4 of our video series on Document Controller. Today we're going to get into some of the good stuff when publishing 3D models into the document register. First we'll show you how to do it from our two favorites, SketchUp and Tekla, but of course we'll show you how to do it from other programs like ArchiCAD and Revit. We'll also show you how to activate those models, including batch activation to save yourself some time. Let's get into it. We'll begin by opening up the project that we created in our last video and navigating to the document register on the workflow panel. This time I'm going to unpin the workflow panel to give myself maximum space on the screen. I'll start by importing my massing model, which was created using SketchUp. I can use the import function from up here in the 3D model part of the toolbar. I'm going to choose Add New to create a brand new massing model inside of my project. The program will, by default, add a folder for the 3D models. Here I can see my SketchUp file, and up in the ribbon I have the opportunity to change the activation options. I'm going to use the layer name to activate the SketchUp model. Once I do that, I can click Zoom Extents and I'll see the 3D model here in my active view. Tekla was the authoring application used to create the substructure. To send the substructure information into my project, I press Ctrl-A to grab all of the content and navigate to the Vico plugin within the Tekla UI. I expand my project and create a new model for the substructure. Hitting Publish will send all of the 3D content from Tekla and into my project. Once in my project, I can see my Tekla model listed in the document register, and I can change the activation options to be whatever I like. I choose Activate to make that the most current substructure model inside my project. Tekla was also used to create the superstructure model, and now I want to send that to my project. Note in here that again, I want to create a new model for this superstructure so that it can be isolated separate from the foundations model. I choose Publish to send all of the content into my project. Now we can see both the substructure and the superstructure model listed inside of the document register, again using the assembly name as the activation option for this superstructure model. After that, we want to publish the interiors content. That was created in Revit, and notice here that I can use Revit in demo mode and that I don't need a full license to send the model into my project. I'll navigate here to my interiors model and find the first version that we received from the design team. Open up the project and then navigate to the 3D screen. All of the content is sent from the 3D view into the project. Choose the Add-ons function here in the ribbon menu and look for the Vico Office plugin. We'll create a new model here separate for the interiors. Choose Publish and all of the content will be sent into our project. It's important to note here that whether using Vico Office or Document Controller Standard, the application should always be installed after the BIM authoring application. Installing Vico and Document Controller after the authoring application allows for the add-ins to be created inside of Tekla, Revit, and ArchiCAD. If you don't see the add-ins within the authoring tool user interface, it's likely that the programs were not installed in the right order. Make sure you pay attention to this sequence and save yourself some time. Lastly, let's publish our exterior model to the project, and just as before, only the demo version of ArchiCAD is needed to send content into our project. The content comes from the 3D window, so we'll navigate to that, and then look for the Vico plugin inside of the ArchiCAD user interface. Publish to Vico Office, and create the last unique model for your exterior. Once completed, we'll have our massing model from SketchUp, our substructure and superstructure from Tekla, interiors from Revit, and our exteriors from ArchiCAD, all inside of the same project. New users to Vico and Document Controller are probably starting to wonder what this activation business is all about. But don't worry, it will make more sense in a future video when we add additional design versions to each of the model. Last thing to mention in this video is that there's actually a much quicker way to do the activation. We can do batch activation by pressing and holding the control key, selecting on each of the models that we want to activate, and then notice that a tab appears for each of the authoring platforms within the activation options. We can change each authoring platform uniquely here, press save, and hit OK, and then we can activate all of the models at once instead of having to go through one by one. So that concludes part 4 of our video series on Document Controller, where we learned how to get some of the 3D models into our project. We started with the two awesomest ones, SketchUp and Tekla, and then we learned how to get them in from ArchiCAD and Revit as well. We talked a little bit about activation and batch activation to save a little bit of time. Join us next time, where we'll show you how to expand that data set out even further by adding additional model versions, and also how to use some of the 3D navigation commands. We'll catch you on the flip side.